Everyone is chasing faster fat loss, yet very few people realize that one of the most popular methods can accelerate results far beyond the other when used the right way. At the same time, thousands of people follow both methods every single day and still struggle to lose weight. That is where things get confusing. Intermittent fasting promises rapid fat burning by simply changing the timing of meals, while the ketogenic diet claims to switch the body into a powerful fat burning mode through food choices. Both sound effective, both have strong supporters. Yet there is a hidden detail that most people completely miss, and that single detail changes everything. In this video, you will discover the real difference between intermittent fasting and keto, explained in a simple and clear way. You will learn how each method affects your body, why insulin plays a central role in fat storage, and how small mistakes can slow down your progress even when you feel like you are doing everything correctly. There is also a surprising truth that many people overlook, a factor that explains why some individuals see rapid results while others feel stuck for months. This insight can completely change the way you approach fat loss. As we move forward, you will see which method works faster in the short term, which one creates more stable results over time, and how combining both strategies can unlock even better outcomes. This is where things become truly interesting because the answer is much deeper than choosing one over the other. It comes down to understanding how your body responds at a hormonal level and using that knowledge to your advantage. Stay with me until the end because the final part of this video will reveal the most effective approach that many experts quietly follow but rarely explain in detail. Missing that part could mean missing the key that ties everything together. Welcome to the channel where we break down complex health topics into simple and practical ideas that actually work. If you enjoy learning about fat loss, nutrition, and smarter ways to improve your health, make sure to subscribe and join us for more videos like this. Everyone wants fast fat loss, yet the path to get there often feels confusing and overwhelming. Every day, new advice appears, promising quicker results, easier methods, and better outcomes. Some people are told to stop eating for long hours, while others are told to completely cut carbohydrates and load up on fats. Both approaches sound powerful, and both are backed by strong opinions. That is where the real problem begins. When two popular methods claim to do the same thing, it becomes difficult to know which one actually delivers real results and which one only sounds good in theory. Choosing the wrong method can quietly waste months of effort. A person may follow a plan with full dedication, expecting visible changes, only to feel stuck and frustrated. Energy levels drop, motivation starts fading, and eventually the entire process feels harder than it should be. The issue here is deeper than just discipline. It is about understanding how the body responds to different strategies. Without that understanding, even the best efforts can lead in the wrong direction. Intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet both aim to help the body burn fat, yet they work in very different ways. One focuses on timing while the other focuses on food choices. This difference may seem small on the surface, yet inside the body it creates completely different reactions. Hormones shift, energy sources change, and the way fat is stored or burned begins to follow a different path. Missing this detail can lead to confusion because results are heavily influenced by how well these methods are applied. There is also a common belief that faster always means better, yet that belief can sometimes create unrealistic expectations. Rapid results may appear in the beginning, then slow down without warning. In other cases, progress may feel slow at first, then suddenly improve over time. These patterns often depend on how the chosen method interacts with the body's internal systems. Understanding this difference can remove a lot of frustration and replace it with clarity. Today, everything is broken down in a simple and practical way, so the confusion around these methods becomes easier to understand. Instead of complicated theories, the focus is on how these approaches actually work in real life, how they influence fat burning, and why some people succeed while others struggle even when they follow the same plan. Intermittent fasting is often misunderstood because many people think it is another strict diet plan, yet it works in a very different way. It is not mainly about what you eat, it is about when you eat. Instead of focusing on counting calories or avoiding certain foods, This method changes the timing of your meals throughout the day. That simple shift creates a powerful effect inside the body. During eating periods, the body uses food for energy, and during fasting periods, it begins to rely on stored energy. This natural switch is where fat burning starts to increase. One of the most common examples is the 16 to 8 method. In this approach, a person eats all their meals within an 8-hour window and then fasts for the remaining 16 hours. For example, someone might eat between 12 in the afternoon and 8 in the evening, then avoid food until the next day. Another simple version includes skipping one meal, such as breakfast, which automatically extends the fasting period without adding complexity. These approaches are easy to follow because they do not require special foods or complicated planning. Inside the body, something important begins to change during fasting hours. Insulin levels start to drop. Insulin is a hormone that plays a key role in storing fat. When it stays high, the body tends to hold on to fat. When it drops, the body gains easier access to stored fat and starts using it as fuel. This process does not happen instantly. Yet, with consistent fasting periods, the body gradually becomes more efficient at switching into fat burning mode. Many people notice that hunger also changes over time. At the beginning, it may feel difficult to go without food for longer hours, yet the body slowly adapts. Hunger signals become more stable, and energy levels often feel more balanced throughout the day. This happens because the body learns to use its internal energy stores more effectively instead of relying on constant food intake. Intermittent fasting fits into daily life in a flexible way. It can be adjusted based on personal routine, work schedule, or lifestyle preferences. Some people prefer shorter fasting windows, while others extend them as they become more comfortable. The simplicity of focusing on timing rather than strict food rules makes it easier for many individuals to stay consistent over long periods. The ketogenic diet works in a very different way compared to intermittent fasting because it focuses entirely on what you eat rather than when you eat. The main idea is simple. You reduce carbohydrates to a very low level, increase fat intake, and keep protein at a moderate amount. This change in food balance sends a strong signal to the body. Instead of relying on carbohydrates as the main source of energy, the body is pushed to find an alternative fuel. Under normal conditions, the body prefers to use glucose, which comes from carbohydrates. Foods like bread, rice, sugar, and many processed snacks quickly turn into glucose and are used for energy. When these foods are reduced to very low levels, glucose availability drops. At that point, the body begins to shift into a different state known as ketosis. This is where things start to change in a noticeable way. In ketosis, the liver begins to break down fat into small molecules called ketones. These ketones become the new source of energy for the body. Instead of burning sugar throughout the day, the body starts burning fat more consistently. This includes fat from the food being eaten as well as stored body fat. That is why many people turn to the ketogenic diet when they want to focus on fat loss. Reaching ketosis does take some time, and during the early phase, the body goes through an adjustment period. Energy levels may feel slightly different as the body learns to switch from using glucose to using fat. Over time, this transition becomes smoother and the body becomes more efficient at using fat as fuel. This shift can lead to more stable energy levels throughout the day since there are fewer spikes and drops compared to a high carbohydrate diet. Food choices on keto are very specific. Meals often include foods rich in healthy fats such as eggs, butter, oils, nuts, and certain dairy products, along with moderate amounts of protein from meat or fish. Carbohydrate intake is kept very low, which means avoiding or limiting foods like sugar, grains, and many fruits. This strict structure is what helps maintain the state of ketosis and keeps the body focused on burning fat instead of switching back to sugar. Fat burning inside the body is often explained in complicated ways, yet the core idea comes down to one key hormone, insulin. This hormone plays a central role in deciding whether the body stores fat or uses it for energy. Every time food is eaten, especially foods high in carbohydrates or sugar, insulin levels begin to rise. This is a natural response that helps move nutrients from the bloodstream into cells. At the same time, it sends a signal to the body to store excess energy for later use, and much of that stored energy is kept as fat. When insulin levels remain high throughout the day, the body stays in a storage mode. Even if a person is eating a moderate amount of food, frequent spikes in insulin can make it harder for the body to access its fat stores. Energy is constantly coming from incoming food, so there is less need for the body to tap into stored fat. This is one of the reasons why many people struggle with fat loss despite making efforts to eat less or exercise more. The internal environment is still encouraging storage rather than usage. As insulin levels begin to drop, the situation starts to change. Lower insulin creates a different signal inside the body. Instead of focusing on storing energy, the body begins to look for stored fuel to meet its needs. Fat cells release stored fat, which is then used as energy. This shift does not require extreme changes, yet it does depend on how often insulin is being triggered throughout the day. The timing of meals and the type of food consumed both influence insulin levels in different ways. Eating frequently keeps insulin elevated for longer periods, while spacing out meals allows it to fall. In the same way, foods high in refined carbohydrates raise insulin more quickly compared to foods rich in fats or proteins. These patterns shape how the body responds over time and determine whether it leans more towards storing or burning fat. This balance between high and low insulin states continues throughout the day, quietly guiding the body's energy use. The more time the body spends in a low insulin state, the easier it becomes to access stored fat and use it efficiently as fuel. When intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet are placed side by side, the difference becomes clearer through how each one influences the body on a daily basis. Intermittent fasting works by creating longer gaps between meals, which allows insulin levels to drop more quickly. During these fasting periods, the body begins to rely on stored energy instead of constant incoming food. This shift encourages the use of stored body fat as fuel. The process feels simple because there are no strict rules about specific foods. A person can still eat a variety of meals as long as they stay within the chosen eating window. This flexibility makes it easier for many people to follow without feeling restricted by complicated food lists or detailed planning. The ketogenic diet follows a different path to reach a similar goal. Instead of focusing on timing, it focuses on keeping insulin levels low through food choices. By reducing carbohydrates to a very low level and increasing fat intake, the body remains in a state where fat is used as the primary source of energy. This creates a more constant fat burning environment throughout the day since the body is no longer switching back and forth between sugar and fat for fuel. The shift is steady, yet it depends heavily on maintaining the correct balance of nutrients. There's also a noticeable difference in how each method feels in daily life. Intermittent fasting can feel more natural for those who prefer fewer meals and less structure around food choices. It fits easily into different routines because it does not demand specific ingredients or meal types. On the other hand, the ketogenic diet requires a higher level of control. Food selection becomes very important, and even small changes in carbohydrate intake can affect how the body responds. This level of precision can feel challenging at first, especially for those who are used to a more flexible way of eating. Both methods influence insulin in their own way, yet the path they take is different. Intermittent fasting creates periods where insulin drops sharply, while keto keeps insulin consistently low through controlled eating. These differences shape how the body uses energy, how hunger is experienced, and how sustainable each method feels over time. When the focus shifts to speed, intermittent fasting often shows faster results in the short term. This happens because insulin levels drop more quickly during extended fasting periods. As the body spends more time without incoming food, it is pushed to access stored energy sooner. That stored energy mainly comes from body fat, which creates a noticeable shift in how the body feels and performs. Many people experience this early change as a quick drop in weight, along with a sense of lighter energy during the day. The body is no longer constantly processing new calories, so it turns inward and begins using what is already stored. This rapid response creates the impression that intermittent fasting is far more powerful when it comes to fat burning. The effect can appear within days, especially when the fasting window is consistent and long enough to keep insulin levels low for extended periods. The body adapts to this pattern by becoming more efficient at switching into fat burning mode. Hunger patterns may also start to change, making it easier to continue the process once the initial adjustment phase passes. At the same time, the ketogenic diet approaches fat burning from a different angle. Instead of creating sudden drops in insulin through fasting, it maintains a steady environment where insulin remains low throughout the day. This leads to a more gradual shift in how the body uses energy. Fat becomes the primary fuel source, yet the transition can take longer to fully develop. The body needs time to adapt to ketosis, and during that period, changes may feel slower compared to the quick response seen with fasting. This contrast between rapid and steady results creates an interesting dynamic. One method seems to deliver faster visible changes, while the other builds a consistent internal state over time. The difference is not always obvious at first, and that is where many people start to question which method truly leads to better fat loss. Early progress can be motivating, yet it does not always tell the full story of what is happening beneath the surface. There is also another layer that begins to influence results after the initial phase. Factors such as eating habits, consistency, and how the body adapts over time start to play a much bigger role. This is where the comparison becomes less straightforward, and where a deeper understanding begins to reveal something that many people do not expect. There is a detail that often goes unnoticed, and it quietly explains why many people struggle even when they follow a popular method. Intermittent fasting may create long periods of low insulin, yet the eating window still plays a powerful role in the overall result. When that window is filled with highly processed foods, excess sugar, and constant overeating, the body quickly shifts back into storage mode. Insulin rises again, and the progress made during fasting hours starts to fade. The cycle repeats day after day, creating the feeling that fasting is not working, even though the issue is coming from what happens after the fast ends. A similar pattern appears with the ketogenic diet. It is designed to keep the body in a fat burning state, yet that depends heavily on maintaining the right balance of nutrients. When carbohydrate intake starts to increase, even in small amounts, the body can move out of ketosis without clear warning. This shift may happen slowly, making it harder to notice at first. At the same time, overeating calorie dense foods, even if they are low in carbohydrates, can reduce the overall effectiveness of the method. The structure is there, yet the execution begins to slip and results start to slow down. This is where consistency becomes the deciding factor. Both methods have the ability to lower insulin and support fat burning, yet neither works well when applied without attention to detail. Small habits repeated every day carry more weight than occasional strict effort. Skipping fasting windows, adding extra meals, or relaxing food choices too often can gradually reduce progress. In the same way, strict rules followed for a short time may bring quick changes, yet those changes can disappear when the routine becomes difficult to maintain. The body responds to patterns over time rather than isolated actions. It adapts to what is done consistently, whether that pattern supports fat burning or encourages storage. This ongoing response shapes the results that appear weeks and months later. The method itself plays a role, yet the way it is followed determines how effective it becomes in real life. A more refined approach begins to take shape when the strengths of both methods are used together in a balanced way. Instead of choosing between intermittent fasting and a low carbohydrate diet, combining them creates a more stable environment inside the body. Fasting naturally lowers insulin by extending the time between meals, while reducing carbohydrates helps prevent large spikes when food is consumed. This combination allows insulin levels to stay controlled for longer periods, which supports a more consistent fat burning process throughout the day. During fasting hours, the body already shifts toward using stored energy. When the eating window begins, keeping carbohydrate intake low helps maintain that same direction instead of reversing it. This creates a smoother transition between fasting and eating, where the body continues to rely on fat as a primary source of fuel. The result feels more steady, with fewer sudden changes in energy levels and less fluctuation in hunger signals. The body adapts to this pattern and becomes more efficient over time. Food choices within this approach remain important, yet they do not need to feel overly restrictive. Meals can include a balance of healthy fats, moderate protein, and low carbohydrate vegetables. This structure supports the body without pushing it out of its fat burning state. At the same time, the fasting window provides enough time for insulin to fall, allowing stored fat to be used more effectively. The two methods begin to support each other instead of working separately. This approach also helps reduce common challenges that people face when following only one method. Fasting alone may feel easier to follow, yet poor food choices during eating hours can slow progress. A low carbohydrate diet alone may keep insulin stable, yet frequent meals can limit the time the body spends using stored fat. When both are combined, these gaps begin to close, creating a more complete system that supports the body from both sides. Over time, this pattern can feel more natural as the body adjusts to a steady rhythm. Hunger becomes more predictable, energy levels feel more balanced, and the process of fat burning becomes less dependent on sudden changes. The focus shifts toward maintaining a consistent routine that aligns with how the body responds internally. The choice between intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet often depends on personal lifestyle, daily routine, and how much structure a person is comfortable following. Intermittent fasting tends to suit those who prefer a simpler approach without focusing too much on specific food rules. It allows flexibility in meal choices while placing more attention on timing. For someone with a busy schedule, skipping a meal or limiting eating to a certain window can feel easier than planning every detail of what goes on the plate. This approach can fit naturally into daily life, especially for those who do not want to constantly think about calories, ingredients, or strict guidelines. There is also a mental aspect that makes intermittent fasting appealing. Reducing the number of meals can simplify decisions throughout the day. Instead of worrying about multiple snacks or frequent eating, the focus shifts to fewer, more satisfying meals. This can create a sense of control without feeling overwhelmed. For individuals who find strict diets difficult to maintain over time, this method offers a more relaxed structure while still supporting fat burning through longer periods of low insulin. On the other hand, the ketogenic diet is often better suited for those who are comfortable with discipline and detailed food control. It requires careful attention to carbohydrate intake and a clear understanding of which foods support the state of ketosis. This level of structure can feel challenging at first, yet it provides a clear framework that some people prefer. Knowing exactly what to eat and what to avoid can remove uncertainty and create a consistent pattern that supports steady fat burning. The ketogenic approach also appeals to those who want a more stable energy experience throughout the day. Since the body relies on fat as its main fuel source, there are fewer sharp rises and drops in energy. This can feel more predictable, especially for individuals who are sensitive to changes in blood sugar levels. Maintaining this state depends on consistency in food choices, which makes discipline an important part of the process. Both methods offer different experiences, shaped by how they fit into daily habits and personal preferences. The decision often becomes clearer when considering which approach feels easier to follow in the long run and which one aligns better with individual routines and comfort levels. So, which burns fat faster? The answer is not as simple as it first appears. Intermittent fasting can deliver faster results in the beginning because insulin drops quickly and the body starts using stored fat sooner. That early shift can feel powerful and motivating. At the same time, speed alone does not tell the full story. Keto takes a different path. It builds a steady fat burning environment where the body relies on fat throughout the day. The progress may feel slower at first, yet it often becomes more stable over time. The deeper truth runs beneath both methods. The real driver behind fat loss is insulin. When insulin stays high, fat storage continues. When insulin stays low, fat burning becomes easier and more consistent. Both intermittent fasting and keto are simply tools that help control this one key factor. The results you see depend on how well that balance is maintained day after day. Now it comes down to you. Which one are you doing right now? Intermittent fasting or keto? Share your answer in the comments below. I would love to know what is working for you. If you found this video helpful and learned something new, take a moment to like this video. And for more simple health tips that actually work, make sure to subscribe to our channel and stay